So, hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show. I am very, very honored today to have my very special guest, Margaret Ann Lembo. Margaret is an incredible wealth of knowledge on all things angels, archangels, crystals, oils, chakras, colors, you name it. She's pretty much written about it. And she's just doing me the honor of joining me on the show today. And I love Margaret's newest book, which is coming out in December, is The Essential Guide to Archangels and Saints. And I absolutely love anything archangels, obviously.
Mhm.
So, Margaret, welcome so much to the show. It's what an honor to have you here today, wearing my favorite color.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. I appreciate you having me, that you wanted to have a conversation. Thank you.
Of course, I think these are my favorite conversations of all. Absolutely. I really want to start with your angel connection because obviously we have a lot of things in common around the angel connection. So you
Yes,
were raised a Catholic, I believe, as well, as was
I
I.
was.
So yes, I understand that. So how did you first start to connect with angels and archangels?
So when I was a little girl, from a very young age, I was always so like somehow, some way, whether it was my sister or in church, I had a very positive Catholic experience. I'll mention that, by the way. It wasn't I've heard people say I'm a recovering Catholic. No. I didn't I still embrace that foundation, didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know? And so I even went to a school called Our Lady of Angels. So I was surrounded by connecting with the angelic realm. So, but the other aspect of it is when I was born, I was a major surprise. My mother was 46 years old, had already lost a child. And so all my relatives referred to me as an angel. Like everybody thought it was a miracle and an angel has arrived in the family. So that would be cool if I was or am, but there's an aspect of me that I'm sure that is. And so I've embraced that. But I have a lot to attribute to my sister Mary Ann. She would always encourage me, like if I was afraid or scared, just remember you're always surrounded by your angels. And I could, in my mind, visualize, see, sense, and feel them surrounding me.
I love it. And as you're talking, I could see your aura is like blazing at the moment. And I want to say, I'm seeing a lot of green and a lot of yellow. So I feel a lot of Raphael Jophiel energy coming through today. All
Oh,
the joy is fantastic. So,
oh,
so
that's
gorgeous.
lovely.
I love that you said the bit about still embracing, your Catholic foundation. I'm very much one of we release anything negative and hold on to anything positive. And I think there's two sides to every coin, isn't there? I mean, I still
Yes.
work with the rosary. I love working with the rosary as a
Me
prayer.
too.
It's very
I have it right
miraculous.
here.
It's beautiful. It really is. It's shifted so much for me when I've gone back to that prayer. And I think for me, that's such a beautiful aspect of the divine feminine that's coming through those teachings. So what aspects of your sort of religious foundations do you still hold on to? Do you still work with?
So it's not like I go to church. I don't go to mass, but when I do for like say somebody's baptism or a confirmation or something of that regard, it always feels like home. It feels comfortable, but it's not like I go to church, and I honor the people that still do. That's great, you know. Um, I would say mine is more of an association with Mother Mary and Jesus, the Christ, and Mary Magdalene,
What a
because
combo.
I firmly believe and know in my heart that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were husband and wife, even though that might not be sanctioned by certain churches or whatever. And so my association also really, I want to say again, Mother Mary. And I know that she wants us to pray and to stay focused on prayer and to pray for people that they don't even like. I just think about how many people don't have somebody praying for them.
Mm.
And so when I'll give an example of how I integrated into my life. So I own a store in Boynton Beach, Florida, here in Palm Beach County, and I have for 35 years. And in any retail situation, you're going to unfortunately have the situation of people not being so nice from time to time, and they can get really intense. And I used to be so upset about it. It used to really bother me. Now I realize I need to pray for those people. God is showing me, it's being shown to me. This person doesn't have anybody praying for them, doesn't have anybody that is on their side, let's say, and to not take it personally, that has nothing to do with me. And so that's where I'll roll into Hail Marys and Our Fathers and just really focus on putting that energy around that person and imagining them surrounded by the angelic realm.
I love that. Do you know, I've been talking about the same, we're so aligned. That really confirms for me because I've been saying to a lot of clients and friends lately, you know, when people show up and they're, say, badly behaved or whatever towards you, if we flip our perspective from being in a victim position and we realize that, wow, you know, I'm walking a path of service, we may actually acknowledge that sometimes we're going to have the unhealed show up for our help, and that's part of our service. And I really love the way you put that. It's so beautiful, and it's absolute confirmation. You know, we can sit there and go, oh, why is this person being mean to me, or why is this person doing this? But we can also see that they're coming from a place of potentially trauma in their own background, or you know, maybe they had a bad morning. It could be as simple as that. It's absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous. I feel like I'm being nudged just to ask about the state of our planet at the moment and how we can apply this in terms of some of the bigger themes that are playing out. You know, there's a huge question of integrity, isn't there, going on the planet in general at the moment.
Yes.
And you know, and I love that you're on the same page as me when it comes to Yeshua and Magdalene. I think that there was an original Christianity, and somewhere along the line, the story got distorted for whatever reason.
Hmm.
But I feel like there's such an influx of information and things going on the planet. How would you apply these principles to where we are right now?
Wow, that's a big question,
It's a loaded
Alexandra.
question.
I wish I feel like, to be honest, I wish I knew. I
Yeah.
really wish I knew. I guess the real answer, that what comes to mind is maybe I haven't been praying for these situations to resolve, and maybe you asking me this is a reminder. Hey, Margaret, do it.
We've got
Get
work to do,
yourself
Margaret.
focused. Yes. I plant a lot of sunflowers. So this is like a side note. So I'm all about, I love sunflowers and marigolds. I'm a big gardener. And I feel when I plant sunflowers that I'm connecting with the people of Ukraine, let's say, because
Wow.
that's their main flower. And so I try to be mindful and prayerful when I'm planting sunflowers. But that's the closest I've gotten to praying for situations, because there's so many areas of the planet that really need prayer. So I guess the answer is I don't like to should on myself, but I should be
Don't like
praying.
to shit on myself. I love that reflection. Do you know what? It feels like you're already doing it. You know, I think so much of it is intention, isn't it? You know, and even that little connection that you make. I think we make so many subconscious connections.
Yeah, I guess
With
that's
you,
true.
you're walking the angelic path. I think it's just in our everyday intention. How can we not be? You're already obviously wishing love and bliss for all, and you
Oh,
know, peace for all, and all of that. So it's like you're a walking prayer yourself.
I
um
try to be. I try to be. You're making me a little bit more angelic than I think I am, but yes, I'll take that.
but you know, well, I'm all about embodying the angelic, and I think you are the epitome of that. The way that you write about them, you know, there's and all those little associations of how we can connect to them. I know in your book, and I really can't wait for this book to come out. I really want one as part of my collection, and it fits really beautifully with my Archangel Fire Oracle. We really are like, and there are angels in your book that I didn't include in my oracle, so I feel like they almost fit together as a lovely little set if people were to
Oh,
get
how
them. You know, this
cool.
we've got
I
like
like
between us
that.
such a wealth of knowledge, and I think there's so much more to the archangels than people realize. But I want to ask you, from your perspective, it's
Mhm.
14:14 on my clock as we talk about this and the alignment of it. But from your perspective, what's the difference between an angel and an archangel?
Okay. So from my perspective, an angel is like you may know, I have another book called The Essential Guide to Everyday Angels. And so
Yes.
I feel like an angel just in without the arc in front of it is the kind of like aspects of guardian angels. We have so many different angels that will help us in very, very specific situations. So if we need someone to help us because we're down in the dumps, or someone to help us, and I say someone, I'm meaning an angel to help us. They're there to assist in a very ordinary way. And yet, similarly, archangels who are a higher level of consciousness have maybe a higher vibration, let's say, and have maybe more history and more well known, so that adds to their energy as well. They have like a higher level of consciousness. And while we can ask them to assist us with very ordinary tasks and situations, I think that they're closer to the vibration of how some of the saints evolved into who they became. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. More where
Good.
they kind of bring in more of the human, don't they? They're kind of on a kind of 3D level. They can assist us, like the parking
Angels.
angels.
Yes, there you go. It's true. I mean, like one of the things that I have done that you may or may not know is that I have 12 archangel sprays that I created
That's right.
over the
Yeah.
years. Did you know that?
I know about your oils. Yes, I think that I haven't got any, but I must get hold of a set of your oils. They sound
Aw.
fantastic.
But the point I want to make is they all have holy water in them. So that's one of the ways that I'm helping people feel the vibration of that blessing that we all can have. Because when I was little, my mother used to put holy water on me all the time, all the time. So I incorporated it into essential oil blends, and that way people can have holy water spritzed on them. And so that's like an everyday way to get these angels and vibrations into our life.
Yeah, and it's much more appealing to the lapsed Catholics among us as well, I think, right?
And it's from all kinds of things, like from Glastonbury. I have water from Chalice Well, and from Teotihuacan, Mexico. Just all over the planet. It's not just
You're like
Catholic
me, I
holy
collect the
water.
water as well. I was in Glastonbury last week actually, and I have water from Lourdes and everywhere.
Wow,
It's amazing.
that's
I
so
love that.
nice.
So you get called around the planet too, I'm imagining, on like a little
I
chess piece.
I used to travel a lot. I did. And now I'm blessed with people who will go on a trip and bring me back water with them. I know. It's like, thank you. My cousin just came back from the Holy Land and brought me back water from the Jordan River. So
Wowzers.
it's just like I just keep collecting it. I have water from Mother Mary's last known home, Anatolia,
Wow.
in Turkey. And
Turkey.
I collected it first myself, but then somehow, some way, I have a friend who's married to a guy that lives there. And so when she comes back, she brings me like a big bottle of water back from there. I don't know how I manifest these things, but I'm so grateful because then I can pass it on.
Well, it's amazing. It's like you've flipped so you've gone from doing the service of having to go everywhere, and now you're just in the divine feminine, calling it in, magnetizing it to you.
That's a
And
very
speaking of
good
that,
point.
you are really like a key placeholder on the planet. I mean, you have your beautiful shop, the Crystal Garden. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that started? Because that's been going, is it since 1988 or something? It's been running?
Yes, it
Amazing.
has.
You're such a forerunner. So talk
Oh,
to us
I
about how this birthed and
So it wasn't all that conscious, to be honest. You know what I mean? So when I was a mortgage banker for 12 years before
wow.
the stock market crashed in 1987. It was October of 87 that the stock market crashed, and I was in senior management at that time. I loved my career in mortgage banking. I loved to help people get into their homes. It was a beautiful thing. And I was pretty devastated when I just couldn't get myself back into it. I kept the headhunters couldn't. They're like, no, all these positions are too menial for you. And it's like, no, no, I can do anything. And they're like, no, no, we'll have to. It's going to be hard to get you back into a senior management position. So after I stopped wallowing on my couch, in my sweatpants for a while, like, wah, um, I decided to see if I could use one of my family's properties. Thank you, mom and dad. And I ended up using the property that I'm still in today.
Wow.
And I opened the store, didn't know what I was doing at all, and just kind of like felt like I was a hobby for a while. It felt that way, you know. And then by the time I was 18, the store became 18-ish. That was around probably the time that I went on book tour with my first book, Chakra Awakening. And because I started going on book tour, I learned so much from so many retailers around the country. And into I even went into Canada at one point, into Manitoba. And so my point is that I learned, and then I made my store better at that point. So that's when it really shifted. So like now halfway through, so to speak, because I'll be 36 in this August, is when I know 36 years,
Right.
right? Not me. I'm not 36. I opened
Honey,
it when I
you
was
only look
30.
36.
Oh, I'm still 36. I feel 36. I keep
It's a
telling
magic
myself
number, though, isn't it? It adds up to 9. It's the
it.
goddess.
That's
That's
true. That's a good point. So, so now the store is phenomenal. I mean, it is with the collection of stones and the jewelry. I love the bracelet wall, the wall of bracelets. I really love gemstones and I love what I do. And the store feels like a piece of heaven on earth. And that's really what I want for people, is that they can come in, take a deep breath, and that it makes enough money to support all my staff and have a good experience for my customers. You know what I mean? It's like really beyond just a in your face retail kind of thing, you
And
know?
you're online as well, aren't you?
Very much so. We ship all
Brilliant.
over, and my sprays and blends of essential oils are sold nation. Actually, probably in Europe too. I think Hong Kong still carries it, and it just depends on if they can find a distributor that it doesn't, is it cost effective to ship, you know?
Wowzers. You're holding up so much energy. It's an amazing feat, Margaret. I mean, I don't know where you get the time to write all the books that you've written and run a shop and like, it's like you're like a well-oiled wheel with all of this stuff in motion. It's amazing.
I feel like I don't have a choice, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Right now I'm sitting at my desk. As you can see, I'm in my home office, and on either side of your beautiful face, I have a manuscript, a manuscript, a manuscript, and they're across my whole screen because I'm working on my next books. So what I do is when I get up in the morning, so often after I get myself off of social media, I write. And I just that's that like it feels right. That it feels right to write. Don't
Yeah.
you like writing too?
I love writing. I love writing. I just launched an online magazine and yeah, I must get you
Congratulations.
on there as a guest. I'll have you on as my alchemist of the month at some point.
I
It's
would love to do that.
it's
Anytime you need content, I'm happy to support. It's
oh,
no problem.
bless you. Thank you, honey. Yeah, I think writing is definitely my first love too. I write a lot of poetry and I'm always tinkering. I'm always got writing something. The notes on my phone is always full of little ideas and things and I'm working on my next pitch as well for my next oracle. But I mean,
Oh,
as
good.
as creating and putting things out in the world goes, I think you're the master of it. I mean, what I love about your work is that they're all sort of compendiums, aren't they? They really are like guides too, and there's such a wealth of information, and they're just so packed full of information and knowledge and how to. And I think the practical side of it, the how to
Thank
use
you.
the oils, how to use the crystals, how to work with them and the interconnectedness of them. If you want to connect with an angel, how to connect with an angel through a crystal, through an oil, through a color, through a chakra.
Yeah.
All the crossover is there, and that's my favorite, the
And
multi-dimensional.
that comes in. That's like an inspiration. It's like it comes to me. I'll wake up and I'll have the idea, like the same thing with the animals in the gemstones. So I have the animal allies and animal totems and gemstone kingdom. It's like that was totally well, I woke up with that. I woke up with the title. In fact, I actually used the exact title. And in the publishing industry, you have a working title to a publication, but that one was the exact title ended up because it was so profound.
Yeah. So
I don't know that I can take credit. I mean, it's very nice of you to be so kind to me, but I feel like it's being provided to me. And it's easy for me to write as a compendium versus if I was to write a novel, I don't think I could do it, you know?
But they cover all bases too. I mean, this is something that I think is it's obviously downloaded because it ticks all those boxes, from beginner to seasoned spiritualist mystic. I think they offer a doorway in, but then for people that are already well on their path, they resonate as well. And I love that. It really does tick all the boxes, and
Thank
it's
you.
like a library of stuff, isn't it? A library of knowledge that you can just go to and pull a card or open a book at a page, and it's all there, and it's wonderful, really wonderful. What a legacy that you're leaving. It's
You are
just,
so kind. Thank you.
like, even though, I know you say you can't take credit for it, but on some level, it's your higher self feeding it through. And
That's true. That's true. I
now,
agree.
this one, viewers, I think she's done, she's had a few lifetimes. She's just remembering and bringing it through, I think.
I think it is that. I really do believe that it's like various lifetimes coming through. I'm pretty sure I've committed in the past, and I've committed for the future to keep returning
Mm,
until all sentient beings have reached enlightenment, a bodhicitta kind of a vow. Because we need people that are focused on that to keep balance on the planet, this planet of polarity, like how you were saying. How do you deal with that? It's like, well, I'll do what I can do in my way. And hopefully there's others like you, just like you are,
that's
that
it
are helping people, and the planet.
now, isn't it? It's like, what can we do to help create more of that beautiful heavenly frequency here? So many. I think it's quite old paradigm of the old idea of, in order to be spiritual, we need to constantly be in meditation and flying off somewhere, and but there's the avoidance of our reality, and I think we're here to bridge the worlds. We're here to anchor it in and to infuse it and to integrate it and to,
Yeah,
like, heaven's not so much a place, but a perspective, isn't it? I think
it
it's,
is. It's a state of consciousness,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
you think? But now I'm also very human, and I do get agitated and irritated, and sometimes I'm not pleasant, just to make it very human here.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? And we're all going through stuff. I mean, and when the proverbial stuff hits the fan,
Hmm.
you deal with that. I think I'd love to kind of get your take. I mean, maybe some advice or just your take on how to cope when you're in your very humanness. Especially in this day and age where we're literally being barraged by all manner of things. And there even feels like there's so many weird energies about that we don't even necessarily know how to deal with it. I think many of us are actually pioneer souls here that are like walking uncharted territory. What's your best advice for somebody who's going through something that they're really struggling to handle?
So immediately, two things come to mind. And one is self observation, using the tool of self observation, where, okay, let's say we observe ourselves acting a certain way. We're not pleased in the manner in which we responded or reacted, or how we even are feeling. So it's just like observing that, noticing it, trying not to have judgment. That's a big one. And just to notice that it exists. That's the first thing, is awareness, consciousness. And the other is prayer. What do you do? Pray. So then once you have that, and also in that self-observation and that awareness, is to say, okay, if this was to arise another time, like this may happen again, something similar, same channel, maybe different channel, same situation, then it is like, well, how can I replay this? What would I do instead? How? And so you can practice that scenario and how you can respond differently the next time, and to try to stay composed, when somebody maybe is in your face or whatever the situation is. Somehow sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, but then again, we are human, and so embracing the humanness in that self-observation process, along with prayer is my answer for a lot of things.
Yeah, prayer, I think prayer and trust. I think a lot of trust comes into it too, doesn't it? Just like
Yes.
I always say to people, when you pray, just hand it over, really surrender it. I think when we try to control the outcome, or when we worry about the outcome, we can sort of block it, can't we? So I always say surrender it, and then surrender it some more, and then surrender it some more, and then come into absolute trust that almost like it's already done, it's already heard, it will happen exactly as it's meant to, and then just get comfortable with whatever the outcome's going to be. Because I think sometimes we can block the miracle. We might think, I really want this outcome, but maybe that outcome isn't actually what is meant for you. Maybe something better is meant for you, or something different. And
Yeah,
that's the thing, is like that trust in the divine, not lusting after the result, can be a really, really powerful tool as well.
very well said. Very true. Yeah.
But that said, on a human level, you, where do you see us as a humanity in the future? Like, we're in the ascension, and there's incredible stuff going on for us as a humanity right now.
I believe that there's I want to believe, and maybe what they call a Pollyanna attitude, but I want to believe that there's enough of us that there's going to be a raising of a vibration. Sometimes it's hard to see that if I see the news, it's like, oh, how is that possible that that's still happening on the planet? How, after all these millennia, even, how could this still be going on? But yet we are still here, and there are still plenty of us that are holding this vibration, like you and I, and so many people like us. So where we're going with it, I can't be sure, other than we just have to keep staying focused, of those of us that are focused on heart-centered consciousness and coming from a place of love, and starting every day with that vibration of focusing on our heart center, the sacred heart. I keep using air quotes, sorry about that. But the sacred heart, and then as a humanity, hopefully there'll be enough of it that will be okay.
Mm.
I don't know how well I said that, but
Beautifully, beautifully.
oh, good.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. I think the hope is huge. We mustn't lose our hope. And I know that there's so much that can kind of come along and take us out of that hope, and we look at the world around us and go, oh my God, what's happening? But I think that
Mm,
we're in that sort of caterpillar mush turning into the butterfly, and when you're in the middle of the transformation, you don't always see the wood for the trees, do you? But
no, but at this, it also just dawned on me as you were sharing that if we hold this vibration in our world, like I often think about my where I live and my property, and my garden, and the crystal garden as well, my store. It's like, this is a dome of love. These places are places where there's a dome of love, and wherever we go, you, I, others like us, then we're emanating that vibration, and hopefully it's touching enough people that that keeps like creating a domino effect,
yeah,
and that still reverberates out, like what is the expression with the butterfly and its wings and the Amazon, right? It has
butterfly.
an effect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I tell you what though, I'm really reminded at the moment of I've always said I don't really have one specific daily practice. Like my whole life is a practice, And I know that there are a lot of spiritual teachers out there that say, "Oh, you must have a spiritual practice, and you must be disciplined, and you must blah blah blah." And I've I've not judged it, but for me, it's not worked to have one just same focused, dedicated practice, like setting the alarm for a certain time. Routine doesn't suit me at all.
Me either.
Right? I'm like, oh God, but I am becoming more mindful of just the one simple part of whatever practice I do at whatever time of day I do it. Doesn't matter if it's morning, night, whatever it is that if I do have one practice, it is just that. I think what you said, the self observation, is the being mindful of what state am I in at the moment. Um, but I've noticed that more and more the double numbers on the clock are making me aware of what state I'm in, and like the 11:11, as we had on the this interview, the 14:14. And so what I've started doing is anytime I see the double numbers, is first of all just starting with the visual, I'm just looking at what's exactly in front of me physically. And that kind of then takes my mind off what's happening emotionally and mentally. And I'm just literally neutral, just observe. And it can be like I'm either looking at, well, I could be looking at something on my desk. If I'm at my desk, it could be a glass of water. Or if I'm walking down a street, it could be a dirty street. It could be a beautiful sunrise. Wherever I am in the world, I'm just going to look. And
Hmm.
instead of judging what I'm looking at, I'm just looking at it through an artist's eye, through the interplay of light and dark, and coming into neutral and just observing. And in that, I sort of see it as an artwork, and I'm able to go, wow, that's really beautiful, and see the beauty in anything, in any situation. And then if we apply that back to our daily lives, we go through good times, we go through bad times, we meet friendly people, not so friendly people. And then if we come back into neutral and just observe, then we're able to glean the magic in it and the blessing and the lesson. I think that's my main practice is neutrality, to try to come into neutral and then proceed from there. And that sort of calms everything down. But I went through a period the last few years where I found it really hard to come into that unconditionally loving space. And it's gotten even more important to stay grounded in that, to really come back to love in every moment as well. And I think for people who find it a bit overwhelming to have a spiritual practice, it's just key moments, isn't it? It's just, how am I feeling? How would I rather feel? Yet let's come back to neutral and start again. And like you said, you can always just start over. You don't need to hold yourself in judgment. We are human. There are times when we behave in ways that when we might not be proud of, but draw a line under it. And how would you do that differently the next day? How would you do it differently tomorrow? How would you perceive something differently if you could live it over again? And I just think we're gleaning the gold all the time, aren't we? We're kind of finding the blessing and the treasure in every single moment, in every single,
Beautiful.
you know.
So beautiful. I love that. What a beautiful observation and consciousness. That's perfect. I love it. I'm gonna integrate that neutrality vibe. I like that a lot. A
Yeah.
lot.
Well, I think I love these conversations where we're just sharing and mulling things over and just chatting about
Yeah.
perspectives. And we're all here to help each other. I think it's almost harder when you're a spiritual teacher. It's letting go of the need to be something perfect, isn't it? I mean, we write about angels, but I'm no angel most of the time. It's one of those things, isn't it? I think the humanness of it is really, really important. And I think my take on Ascension as well is, as a humanity, we're learning to cut ourselves and each other some slack. Like,
Yeah, that's a great thing.
compassionate,
Yes,
just be a little bit more, you know what, it's cool. It's
it's
cool.
true. One of my favorite practices that I do regularly, even walking around my house or a lot of times when I'm driving, is I focus on everything I'm grateful for. And I do it all the time. And my life is so much better because of it. And it's such a simple practice. It doesn't even feel like I'm practicing. It just feels like it is. But that's, and I also the other day, some of my people that work with me, I call them work with me, they don't work for me, at the store, they went to a Renaissance festival and down in here in South Florida. And I guess they must have said my name while they were talking to each other in this booth, and the girl overheard my name. And the girl went nuts, like, oh my God, and I told the girl, I told Kathy, who texted me a video of her going like, wow. um, I said, I feel very ordinary. This is not necessary. This is like so nice to balance, because you mentioned being a spiritual teacher. And it's like, I don't even think of myself that way. You know what I'm saying? But
Which
I guess, but
is
we are.
yeah.
So it's balancing the ordinary and the extraordinary or extraordinary.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Just that you're,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just staying human and staying humble in everything, isn't it? We don't, I think for a long time when I was younger, I was like striving to be something. And then it's like, what am I doing? What hierarchy, what ladder am I climbing here? What am I doing? And then I kind of, when I left, because I used to work in the magazine world, when I left that world, it was like, oh, now I don't have to do. Now I can just be who I am.
You
And
did because when I did a little search in my emails because I wanted to reread everything and make sure I was on, and it was like this is associated with a magazine. I can't remember the name of it right now, and it's like so we were in touch back when you were in the magazine world.
yeah, because I edited Prediction magazine back in the day.
Prediction,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. I think you wrote some
yes,
articles for us, and we
I
definitely
did,
your books and things in the mag. Yeah,
yes,
making a lot of these reconnections, like reconnecting with people I used to be connected with through that world. And it feels really lovely. There's kind of a full circle energy about it coming back around.
yes.
No, it's yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. And so you mentioned, I want to ask you a question if you don't mind. You mentioned that you're doing an online magazine. What is it called? How can people find it? Let me turn the table for a
Oh,
second.
I love you, Margaret. You're so gorgeous. It's called Alchemistic, and but it's spelt in the oldie worldy alchemy. So Alchymystic. So
Oh,
alchemy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great with the Y's in it.
Yeah, it's only just been birthed, but there was a part of me that was like, I need to get my spiritual journalist hat back on, and I wanted to create a platform where I can start to help promote, other authors, teachers, healers, people that I really rate, that I know, maybe some that have actually been struggling themselves, because I know that when you're really embodying this work, you go through what you grow through, right? And anything we teach, you kind of have to walk through the initiations at the same time. And I
Sure.
feel like there's a lot of, people that are amazing, incredible healers and writers in their own right, and haven't necessarily kind of, or have been either frightened to step out into the more public eye, and shine, or haven't really been given the chance. And so I love to champion the underdogs a little bit. And then I thought, I've just got a wealth of all this information and knowledge that I want to share, and I needed a platform to do it. And a blog didn't feel quite right. So
Hmm.
I started it on Substack, and it's only just been birthed. I'm actually running a an awards at the moment. So if people go on there, there's the Alchemistic Awards, and you can nominate your favorite shops, spiritual teachers. You can nominate yourself, Margaret. You should nominate yourself. That would be
Oh
amazing.
my goodness. And
Because
so I'll have to, so it's, I should write down, well, I'll get it from you. I want to go look at the site and go check it out. So
it's
it's Alchemist and it's there's two Y's in there, right?
wise. So it's alchemistic.substack.com. Eventually, it'll have its own alchemistic.com. I'm just trying to figure out the domain name, but it's alchemistic.substack.com at the moment. And yeah,
Perfect.
please nominate your and fellow authors and people that you rate. It's
Yes.
yeah, because it'd be wonderful to give some recognition to the beautiful people out there like yourself, and the shops, and all the oracle decks, and the yogis, and those of us who are really, you know,
Yes. And I know a lot of them too.
you're very connected. Oh, it's marvelous. Thank you, honey. That's so lovely of you. Well,
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, that's profound that you're doing that. I love to hear that. That's wonderful.
it feels exciting. I love the coming up with just, I don't know, just new ways to talk about this stuff. The conversation is amazing. This to me is heaven on earth already, right here with you
Oh,
talking about this stuff. So can you tell us, let's talk a little bit about the book. Let's talk a little bit about the essential guide,
wow.
Archangels and Saints. So obviously this one is an amazing compendium. I've got a very early PDF copy of it. I'm so excited about it coming out.
A very uncorrected proof, just so you know, that was just my raw manuscript PDF. So that's my acquisitions editor said that's what I should do. So I did.
So
So
I've been
yeah,
working
so
on this process. So
I had such that was something that again, one of those I need to write this book situations. And believe it or not, it has been 6 or 7, maybe more years since I went under contract with Llewellyn. and they have been very, very kind in the process, because I originally wanted to write the essential guide to archangels, angels, archangels, masters, mystics, and saints. It was like way too much. And it
Try
also
the whole cover.
and it also contradicted my knowledge, my authentic knowledge base, because I don't know a lot about ascended masters. I'd have to go even further in my discovery and research process than I did for this book. But this book was very well researched because it's based on what I knew, but also beyond, much more beyond that. I mean, when I was writing this book in the summer that I really was starting to really get to the finalization stages, where it's like, okay, I'm really going to finish this now. Because in the process of that, we had the pandemic, we had all these different things come up, and I had to focus on my business. I couldn't sit home and write, you know. So anyway, I came across a tin. Too bad it's not sitting right here. I'd show it to you. I don't think it's sitting right here. Of my mother's holy medals,
Oh,
like so many holy medals that
wow.
because she was a very spiritual woman, my mother, very spiritually focused. She was Roman Catholic, but she was also the person that taught me extrasensory perception, is what we used to call it, telepathy, talking to plants and hearing the plants, you know, all these things that are very ordinary to me, but are very metaphysical and newer to some people, you know, not everybody, obviously. So during this process, then I really embraced how much love I have for saints and archangels. I had already written about you know, what I call the everyday angels or regular angels, and so this book has, you know, I should know the number, but what something like um, I think there's 26 archangels maybe, and about 35 saints. Like it's a lot. It's heavy duty. It's about 85,000 words.
Great. It's so great. It's such a deep dive.
Yeah. So the thing that I love to do, as you mentioned earlier, is to match up with other things. So I match it with essential oils, what essential oils you can use when you're like calling on, let's say, Archangel Jophiel or Chamuel. What are the best gemstones that can support you in that process? What affirmations or positive thought forms? But also one of my favorites is the petition, to help people how to. I call it prayer, but some people aren't comfortable with that word, so I use the word petitions. We're petitioning the saint. We're petitioning this archangel. Come, help me. I could use some help with this, and then how to say the words, how to form the actual petition or prayer. And that's my favorite part, I think, of the whole thing, is to get people to say, oh, Saint Anthony, come help me, whatever it is, you know, that you need.
On all the time, so you must have got on that.
You're losing, you're
Where
losing stuff. That's funny. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So
what
that's
I love also is that you've woven through the astrology, like the zodiac and the days of the week, and like all these associations. But it's a wonderful, like you can actually flip it open and go, right, well, what do I need help for? Like, say something's going on in your life. Okay, which angel would I need to petition for X, Y, and Z? And it's
mhm.
there. And I love that the oils and the crystals and all of that add a really beautiful physical element to it. Something I do is I use crystals to sort of anchor in timelines or wishes, or say that you are working towards something, like say we're doing, right, I want to anchor in a simple thing. I want to anchor in heaven on earth. I would get a little crystal. I'd see which one I'm drawn to, probably a clear quartz, ask to
Mhm.
encode that full of light to anchor heaven on earth physically. And then I'd go plant it in the garden or put it in a local park, or, and bless Mother Earth,
Oh.
like a physical process. And so your book, I think, is a really good way to go, okay, well, which crystal would I use if I wanted to anchor in the blessings of, say, Archangel Jeremiel or Archangel Michael, or if I'm up praying for protection and protection for my family, or even if we're watching the news, protection of, maybe the people of Ukraine or wherever they are in the world. And then I go anchor that in. And then to me, that says, this is asking for this to play out physically. So please give me physical, tangible evidence that my prayers have been heard and answered. And it's also it helps to surrender. You know how I was saying about that letting go of it. If you put it into the
Yes.
crystal and then you plant it, it says, all right, I've let that go now. I've released that. Or you could throw it into a pond or something and it's like, I've released it. I've let it go. I trust that it's going to play out on the physical. So yeah, I think your book is a great tool for that. I'm already seeing ways I can use it in my daily life. It's like a really kind of
And
practical.
I'm so impressed that you're willing to like put a crystal in the I can't let go of my crystals.
I used
And I have a lot.
no, I used to struggle to let go of them, but I used to teach angelic Reiki back in the day, and we use some clear quartz crystal points as master crystals, and then obviously I was developing my archangel alchemy healing. I don't teach angelic Reiki anymore. I still use the system. It's a beautiful system, but with my own healing system, we don't use physical crystals. Maybe I should build it in. But I found under my bed the other day an entire bag of clear quartz crystal points that I had stocked from a wholesaler
Wow. Yeah,
from the
yeah.
times when I used to teach angelic Reiki. And I thought, these have turned up at the right time. I need to do some crystal gridding with these. So
Oh,
I feel like I haven't figured out where I'm going to put them yet, but like I should have actually taken one to Glastonbury, but I think they're going to go to different places around the earth because I'm still being called in service
that
to.
I have done. That I have done because I've gone on crystal digs in Arkansas back in the early days of my business. Yeah, I mean, actually, before I even opened the store, that's what it evolved it from is going on crystal digs. And I used to take when I take people to because I used to do sacred sites tours. So and I would plant crystals. I would give everybody little crystals because I actually mined them myself. And so it was easier to give them away for me than buying fancy crystals and then putting them in the ground. And that is, I have a lot of the Yucatan and the La Chichen Itza and Uxmal and Zibel Chaltun and of course in Peru and Ollantaytambo and Machu Picchu and
The places
even
we've been
all
following
over
around the planet.
crystal creating crystal grids because I had a vision back in the 80s about that it was important for me to go and activate the grids of light of the planet. And so that's what I started in the early in the it was actually the mid it was actually when I started it was actually in the mid 90s when I went on those trips where I took people from my store and we went all over.
I love this. We're all following each other around the planet, and we've all been
Yes.
weaving the magic together.
And one of my favorite ones was when I did a Michael Mary Leylines tour in England. It was a beautiful. We started in France, in Saint Marie de la Mers, and
Yeah.
traveled through France over to went across the Channel and into ended up of course in Stonehenge and Avery and just areas like that. You know where they are and it was a beautiful experience. It was profound, even Tintagel and being in Cornwall. Cornwall is intense, man.
I was there a couple of weeks ago. It's very, we were going to all the stone circles, and yeah, it's really intense. It's
It
beautiful.
is.
Did you
It
go?
is beautiful. But the vibration is like it kind of rattles me. It's almost like I can feel the spirits touching me vibe, if that makes any sense. Does that do you experience that? I
Yes.
can't sleep when I'm there. There's no way I'm sleeping.
I'm getting stroked as you're talking.
It's like you can get off of me now.
I get that in Ibiza actually. Ibiza's very like this for me. I love it. I got married in Ibiza, but if I'm there on my own, if I'm ever staying like on my own, I get a little bit. This is very intense. There's a lot of Phoenician energy and like past life kind of stuff.
Where's Ibiza? I don't know this.
No, it's in the Balearic Islands in Spain, and it is dedicated to the goddess Tanit, and it's very ley line, like, very high vibration. It's absolutely
Wow.
very, very galactic, very cosmic. There's a place called Esvedra, which is very intense,
I'll
powerful,
have to
galactic.
research this.
Oh yeah, maybe you're being called to Ibiza next, Margaret.
Oh no. No, I'm kidding. I'm a homebody these days. I got what's going on.
Oh well, I think I need to come to Florida and visit you. I haven't been to Florida. I think we
That
might
would be
have a trip in
beautiful.
to get a trip in the diary at some.
Come to the tropics.
It's really, really. need some of that energy at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, this is just amazing. I think that the timing of your book coming out as well in December this year, the Christmas time period and the solstice time period is just magical. It's definitely going to be one on my wish list.
Oh,
Before we
I'm
go,
sure I can get Llewellyn to send you a copy direct. Don't
oh,
you worry.
Johnny,
I'm going to tell them they must. I think that they do that automatically, but I'll make sure.
thank you, Margaret. Well,
And if not, I'll send an author
yeah,
copy.
I'll have to send you out a copy of some of my stuff as well, and then we can do a Christmas swapsies.
I definitely carry, I'm pointing over your shoulder. I definitely carry Archangel Alchemy in my store.
This one, Archangel.
And I
Oh,
definitely do. I don't think I know Water Alchemy Oracle, so I will investigate that. That is that a Fintorn Press title as well?
they're Fintorn, so that's the newest one, and then the little one over here is Archangel Fire Oracle, up in the corner there.
Oh, I think I might carry that one too. That
Uh,
one I think I do.
that
Yeah.
I think is the brother sister of your book there. Quite.
Oh, I will have to check that out. I'm pretty sure that's in the store, so I should open a copy. Cool.
Oh, thanks, honey. Oh,
Of
oh,
course.
you're making me want to open a shop, but I don't think I'm quite ready to have bricks and mortar.
So much work. It is a lot of work.
I'll give a little shout out to my friend Dandelion, who has just opened a shop in Glastonbury called Dandelion Dreams. And
Oh,
the exciting thing is he's very kindly giving me a place to sell my jewelry. So this is one of my little fairies that I make.
wow, that's gorgeous. And you are actually like you make a mold and then you pour?
I make a mold and then I use silver clay. So she's a naked little fairy. She's a naughty fairy. So these are going to be sold in Dandelion Dreams in Glastonbury coming up pretty
That's
soon.
great.
I
Oh,
have like
give my love to Glastonbury when you go there. Hug all the gardeners at Chalice Well. I had such a nice experience at Chalice Well, and I just felt like, oh, I want to be a gardener in this garden.
if that was your job, just to tend the gardens in Chalice Well, like, and just
I
talk to
can imagine that.
people. Imagine that. It's so beautiful. I've had magical experiences in those gardens, the people that you meet and that you're drawn to and you connect to. And I swear the robins connect us. The robins are the ones that they kind of hop between people.
Yes,
When
I
you're
totally remember that. It was like, and it seemed like the gardeners are communicating with those robins. To
absolutely.
me, I observed that. It's like, well, I have in my front yard, right over my computer, I can see I have a decent, fairly nice piece of land, and not huge, huge, but enough that my front yard is raised bed gardens, but also a garden filled with now the sunflowers are coming up and my marigolds, and I also have a lot of tomatoes out there, and so many beautiful other things like broccoli and other foods to eat, to enjoy. In fact, I'm going to take the cabbage because I didn't do my corned beef and cabbage yet for St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to take the cabbage that I planted and have some of that with our meal tonight. And I love the vibration of gardening, and I highly recommend it to anybody who can have a little space to do something to connect with the earth. And that heaven and earth vibe helps to be in the garden, literally.
it really makes you so even more grateful when you can take something from your own garden and have it from garden to plate. Like my husband is an incredible gardener. He loves it. We've only got a postage stamp size garden in London, but he's already starting to plant things out there now. And when he first started, I was like, can we put some flowers in the garden, please? Because it was literally all veg. Like it was like cucumbers and tomatoes and all of that stuff. And now he does it automatic pilot. That yesterday I got home and he was like, I've planted you some flowers. And I was like, and it's
Oh,
starting to be springtime
good.
now, so it's
Well,
lovely.
that's good because it brings pollinators. The flowers bring the pollinators, and that way, everything gets pollinated.
I know.
So that's
Amazing
beautiful.
bumblebees. There was a big bumblebee out there yesterday, so they're starting to come in. It's
Good
wonderful.
sign. Good sign.
Beautiful.
On my gardens that I grew up with as a child, we lived in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn, in case you didn't pick up my accent. And I would call our backyard garden a postage stamp for sure. But it's
Yeah,
amazing how much you can fit in a postage stamp garden.
it is. It really is. And it's like even if you've only got a tiny patch of earth, like the gratitude
Yes.
for that patch of earth is just, microcosm, macrocosm, beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's
Margaret, before
great.
we go, can we pull one of your cards for our viewers?
Sure.
We
Do you
have
have a preference? Shall we do the essential oils and gemstone guardians? Is
since
that
we've
okay?
been about it, yeah.
So this comes with a little booklet and we'll do a little shuffle here. This is a new deck, so I realized, as I mentioned before we came on the air, that I didn't realize I have very few of my decks here at my house. Because I often do my interviews from the store in my angel room. So let's see. So I feel like I cheat when I see these. So let me turn it this way. Up, Clary Sage. So Clary Sage and Lepidolite. So this is good. This is an important thing because this lepidolite is really beneficial for bringing balance, harmonizing emotions, for when we have mood swings because it's lithium mica.
Right.
And then clary sage is the essential oil to use in conjunction with lepidolite because clary sage is really beneficial for balancing emotions, for calming people down. It does lower blood pressure. So it's important to know if you already have low blood pressure to not just a quick inhalation, but not much more because it can lower it too much. So let's see, lepidolite side is it's in the category of health and well-being. So it has a little category here. Relax into a deep state of meditation. Release judgment of self and others. Find comfort and calm within. Rebalance and let go of stress and anxiety. And Clary Sage's affirmation, which matches what lepidolite is, meditation and quiet are a regular part of my day. Doesn't have to be at a specific time of day, just part of the
That's
day. Right?
well.
I, I allow balance to return to my life. Nurturing energy surrounds me. I attract inner peace.
Oh my God, that's just too perfect. It's like sums up the whole conversation, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? That's good. I like that it came out. You
Yeah.
never know who's going to come out of the deck.
No, well, I've got a lepidolite crystal skull, and I absolutely love him. His name's Montgomery. He's absolutely, you've just reminded me I need to get him out and work with him again. And it's
Right?
interesting. The water alchemy oracle is exactly that's pretty much the message of the water alchemy. It's about all about emotional balance. Oh, who have you got there?
So this is from Cornwall.
Oh, wow.
We were pulling up into Cornwall and I misunderstood what they were saying. And I thought they were saying there are crystal skulls in Cornwall. And I kept saying, there are crystal skulls in Cornwall? I didn't know that. And I asked so many times that the person that was taking us on the tour was so peaceful, a gentleman he's from England, and you'll probably know him. I won't mention it now, but and and he got agitated with me. He's like, Margaret, all right already, stop. No, there's no crystal skulls. So then this other guy that was co-facilitating said, come on, I want to bring you to a crystal store. I said, okay, because I'm a crystal store owner, so let's go look. And what is in the window? A lot of crystal skulls. And this one came home from there, and he's got a beautiful rainbow. Like you have to hold it in exactly the right spot. So this is baby. I call this baby.
Baby. I love baby. Oh my God,
So he watches me work. He's always here on my left here.
you know what? I have a family of 28 crystal skulls from where they've called me, like, and they don't all need to come home with me, by the way. And now I go, do you really, really, really need to come home with me? And then, if they say really strong yes, then they come home with me. But I get told, we're keepers of the crystal skulls, I think, or something. And now I've started pulling them up out of the earth. Uh, can I run and grab something? I
Yes.
run and grab something. Just to
Okay. Wow.
give me 1 second, Margaret.
Okay. So I'll pull another card while she's away. How's that? Just in case. Up, cinnamon. We'll talk about cinnamon real quickly. So that's with sunstone to activate intuitive skills. I'm entertaining while you were gone.
Friends telling everyone.
I pulled a card. Sunstone and cinnamon. So tell me what you have.
So there's two stories. You're going to love this. I knew this was going to be a magical conversation with you. So this first one came out of a crop circle, and I was guided to a crop circle in the UK. But when we got to this, right, so we were going to another crop circle. And on the way to this specific crop circle, our car broke down and we ended up on another road. And my guide said, there's a crop circle here. And I was like, what? There's a crop circle here. They'd stopped us deliberately. And what the farmer had done was he had plowed the field so nobody could find the crop circle or connect with its energy. But we found it because my guide stopped me. And we got to the top of the hill and we were looking over this field and I could still see the faint outline of a crop circle. And I got told to look down at my feet and pick up the stone at my feet.
Are
And this
you kidding?
is the stone that was
Wow. It has a little bit of a parrot vibe too. Do you see like the bird energy?
a little bit of bird. I can see a real galactic being here.
Yes,
Yeah,
very awesome.
so that's the
That's beautiful. And do you think that's chalcedony, like the part that's grayish? Does it have translucence or not at all? Is that dense?
flint is the stone.
Flint. Okay.
Flint and interestingly, just before I found it, I was visited by a really beautiful Syrian galactic being who said his name was Seraph, and I got told that this is basically the kind of crystal skull or stone aspect of Seraph. And interestingly, flint is the stone that makes fire, and Seraph means the burning one. So it's all
So
kind
it's associated with the seraphim, I'm assuming.
of
Yeah.
seraphim and sacred fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
When I
profound.
picked it up, the energy of it's incredible. And I was told, can you imagine how many years it took this stone to form?
To look like that
The
too.
question is, or did it form just in time for me to find it? Like it's amazing. And the
That's true.
I have to show you is I was on holiday in Spain with my husband, and we were talking about crystal gridding, and I'd been collecting these stones. Every time we'd gone to Spain, I was finding these beautiful pebbles and shells on the beach. And they were taking up my husband's parents have a flat, and there were so many of these crystals and stones around their flat. I thought, I've got to take them and do something with them. So I took them down to the beach and made a really beautiful shell and stone altar and opened
Hmm.
a portal, a divine portal. And as I finished the portal, I walked into the ocean. I was really connecting to mermaid energy. And I felt something brush up against my left ankle. And when I looked down, it was a shell anklet. It was actually like somebody must have dropped it, but it was like wrapped around my ankle as though it was a gift from the mermaids. And
Wow.
told again, look down at your feet, pick up the nearest stone at your feet.
Whoa, that looks like an alien.
Yeah, they're like galactic crystals. They're like
Beings.
galactic skulls.
I like that. You can really see the eye sockets
Yeah.
too.
And you
Wow.
can't see it on the camera with this one, but it sparkles. That it's like a granite or something, like a sandstone almost, and it
Wow.
really sparkles. And I took this one. I went back up the beach and I went to my husband. I found another alien in the stones, like literally finding aliens in the stone. I've got
That's
more than
wild.
the clearest ones. And I sat back down on the beach and I was telling Tony, my husband, about I got given a shell anklet. I found an alien, like they're saying thank you for my portal. And he went, look, dolphins. And I looked up and a whole pod of dolphins was by.
Oh,
So it was like,
that's so awesome. That is profound.
so it's just like the physicality of it now is unmistakable. So I love the crystal skulls. And I did get told many years ago the crystal skulls are going to start being, returning to the earth and literally pulling them up out of the earth now. Like they're
Wow.
cool.
That's profound.
Yeah,
That's
incredible.
amazing. It is. So do you think that there's an association between crop circles and alien visitors?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
When I was in that Michael Mary Leyline tour that I mentioned, a crop circle appeared
It's born.
while we were driving, and he got a phone call from someone that was also ironically someone I knew from a different spiritual experience on top of a mountain in Mexico, but he lives they're actually best friends in England. I mean, it was just bizarre, but
Wow.
not. Anyway, and when Brett called him to tell him there was a crop circle, we actually went to go I got to go walk a crop circle while I was in England. That was totally not part of the tour, and it was profound.
Well, it probably was your energy that called it in, Margaret. I think
Oh,
You know,
That's very complimentary, but I don't know.
I think that, part of it is the connection of it. They're messages for the many, but I think that when um, we carry blueprints, and some of it I think is a reflection, not to take credit for it, but if you get a lot of people in a power place and you guys
Hmm.
are there on tour together, they may have
Hmm.
it to you guys, because you're the one that's going to go out and talk about it, that will tell people
Yeah,
that you have a platform. I just think there's no, it's who knows, but there's so much synchronicity in it. And I also think there's part of us that, you know, maybe we mustn't think ourselves so small as to not be gifted something so profound like that.
that's a good point. Thank you. That's a very good point. Thank you.
Sometimes we think
Yeah.
our ego, but sometimes the ego will try to keep you small at the same time. And
Yeah.
I dreamt a crop circle before it appeared, and I ended up sitting in the middle of it. I kept seeing it really, and I didn't
Oh,
a certain symbol, and it kept coming into my mind in this white light for months. And then I got invited to go on a crop circle tour again with a friend from the UK. It was a really beautiful one. And this crop circle appeared and we sat in the middle of it. And then he invited me in front of a group of 50 people to come and sit and open to channel. And I got to deliver a really beautiful message through it. But I kept dreaming about this. I didn't realize it was a crop circle when I was dreaming about it. Um, but it became apparent that that's what it was when we went.
wow. Once you got there.
This is the symbol.
That's so cool. I have to find, I used to have a postcard, but I don't think I know where it is anymore. That, like how you can buy a postcard and it will show you various crop circles. And the one I was in was on that postcard, but it's not. So I guess it's famous enough that it's on a
Made it
postcard.
a postcard. Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I interviewed a few years ago a woman called Francine, who's has been one of the world's leading crop circle experts, and
Hmm.
she used to dream about them as well, and she'd just know there was one coming. And then she would feel that there was one about to be created, and there was a group of crop circle hunters that she was part of, and they would often feel them as well coming in. And
Wow.
witnessed a few being made, and she said she saw these like three lights in the sky. I've got an interview with her on my channel somewhere back in the day. I think around 2017, maybe 2018, I interviewed her. And these lights would move in the sky really quickly, and then the crop circle would be there. And there
Hmm.
are things like this on camera as well. And it just seems fantastical to us, but I think that there's technology available that we just haven't got words for.
Right. That is true. I think that's true. I watch a lot of Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. I love those programs. And I think it's like one of those things, it's like you can't recognize it because it's not in your consciousness. So you can't really see it yet, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the amazing thing was after I found this one in the crop circle that had been basically mown, miraculously the AA turned up, and I love that the AA in this country, is the roadside assistance, the AA, but it makes me think of Archangel. So the Archangels turned up, and then the car got fixed, and then we drove to the crop circle we were originally meant to visit, and we
Ah,
walked to the center of the crop circle, and I got told bring this crystal skull stone. And when I got to the middle of the crop circle, there were three people waiting there, sitting in a circle with huge, big crystal skulls that were bought crystal skulls. And I was invited to bring this guy into the middle to connect with their crystal skull.
wow.
Can't make it up. It was like a meeting of souls. It
You
was
can't plan that. No, there's nothing. That is amazing. That is so cool.
miraculous. We're miraculous, aren't we? So
I, it is. It's true. Wow. You're a magical being.
likewise, I'm sitting here going, yeah, she's soul family. I know this work.
I feel the same way. It's great. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for like wanting to even interview me and have a conversation. This has been really nice.
Wanting to come on my show and have a conversation. Like this is just
Of
amazing.
course.
I think
Mutual admiration.
I know. I think we've got more conversations to have though. I really do. I really
I
do.
agree.
There's so
Good.
much I want to ask you. I want to come visit you. I think we need to get this in the bag at some point when I
Okay.
save some money. Thank you, universe, for bringing it in. Um, but Margaret, I know we've been going for ages. Just what are your final parting words for everybody watching today? Margaret's wisdom.
Yes. So whenever I'm asked this question, this always comes to mind. It's like in the heart chakra chapter of my first book, Chakra Awakening, and it's um, remember, you are a love, and all that is attracted to you and all that surrounds you is love. And as long as you remember that, I'm paraphrasing from my book, as long as you remember that, you will be happy and healthy all the days of your life.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yep.
That's it, isn't it? That's all we need. That's all we need.
All you need is love. Na, na, na. We're still dancing to it. We hear it in our heads.
And and I'm going to add on that final note that Margaret's book talks about Jesus. Your final part of your book talks about Jesus and the true kind of message of Jesus too, doesn't it? So
It does.
beautiful parting that that his words were love one another, and that's really all it's about, isn't it?
That's it. It's super simple. Very, very simple. It's
Oh,
profound.
I love you, Margaret. Thank
I
you so
love you too, Alexandra. Thank you so much for having me. This has been lovely, over the top lovely. Thank
much.
you.
Lovely. My favorite. Just have a conversation, see where it leads. I never expected we were going to be talking about crystal skulls and crop circles in the end, but it's amazing.
It's a beautiful thing. It's meant to be.
Meant to be synchronicity. And just to say to all our viewers watching, please check out Margaret's beautiful work. I mean, she's such a wealth of knowledge. She's got the Crystal Garden shop. She's got all her books and her beautiful oracle cards. And I love how the cards flip and you've got both sides printed on them.
Yes.
Lovely,
I,
lovely.
I can't waste the paper. We got to use both sides.
Thank you to the trees. And
Yes.
Margaret, just remind us your websites for the shop and for your website as well.
Sure. So for me, the my author site is just www.margaretannlembo, that's lembo.com. And the Crystal Garden is thecrystalgarden.com, singular, thecrystalgarden.com. And it's a
Wonderful.
beautiful site. You can see so many beautiful things. And just for fun, it's on Tuesdays we have we either do it on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, a live where we show that like the brand new stuff that just came to the store. And
Oh,
so people do buy stuff, but you can just join in just because it's fun. You get to see pretty stuff, pretty crystals, new merchandise, new books, things of that nature. And so that's typically you can find it on Facebook, but we've done it on you. Then you can watch replays too on YouTube and such. That's something fun for people.
amazing.
Tuesday afternoons Eastern time,
Brilliant.
3 o'clock, 3
Brilliant
p.m.
time. I'll stick all the links below so people can connect with you as well. So if you go to the description below the video on YouTube, you'll get all the links. You can just click on the link and you can connect to Margaret every which way, multi-dimensional.
Thank you. That's so fun. I appreciate it so much. Yes, I look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you.
Me too. Lots of love, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, everybody, for watching the Alexandra Wenman Show.